Good morning. It is Wednesday, April 29th. And if you think I'm going to do another Singing in the Rain video for you today, you got another thought coming. Instead, it's going to be wormin' in the rain. Yes, wormin'. You know, as I was coming over to the office this morning, we've had a full night of rain, and it's supposed to rain all day. And what do you think we have all over our parking lot? Earthworms. And you know, every time I see those earthworms after rain, I go back to a certain point in my younger days when I was a junior, senior in high school, actually even a bit younger. My neighbor used to be a truck driver for American Can. And in front of American Can's complex, there was a huge, lush lawn. Now, my dad and my uncles were avid fishermen, and I used to love to fish as well. I just don't have the time for it anymore. But when we had really rainy days, we would end up going to American Can, to their big front field, and fill our tins with earthworms so that we could go fishing the next day. It was a ritual for us. There were times that I would just look forward to it. You know, the dark and the gloom and the rain, and you're feeling a bit down. And then all of a sudden there was that, but we're going to be able to go wormin'. And we would get the worms that we needed in order to go fishing. And believe me, there were many great stories involved with our fishing as well. Wonderful stories that I keep falling back on, especially when I don't feel so good about how things are going. When I feel a little bit down, those kinds of moments trigger happier times in lives. We all have those happiness triggers, and many times we end up telling the stories when something indeed does get triggered. I have a certain happiness trigger every time that I celebrate Mass, because every time I lift the chalice up, I think of my grandmother who bought that chalice for me, my grandmother who told me that she wanted to purchase the chalice before I was even ordained a deacon because she was going to be dead and she wouldn't be able to be at my Mass. And we all just laughed at her and said, "Grandma, you're going to be alive a long time after that." And indeed she was. We didn't bury her until after I was ordained a priest, about 7 or 8 years. But that chalice reminded me of the joy that my grandmother had when she gave it to me. And it reminds me of her. You might feel a bit glum in the midst of all this pandemic and the restrictions we're under. You might feel a bit glum because of the dark and the rain. So I encourage you today to look for some happiness triggers. God bless you this day and every day of your lives.